Hi everybody, my name is Argolfonth. This is an unscripted review for The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I thought this was a good book. I really enjoyed it. I'd probably recommend it to most people. I give it like a 4 out of 5. That's where I go. So this is an unscripted review for two reasons. Number one, it's just a long book. It's over 300, is it 400? No, it's about 350 pages long. About 350 pages long. So it would have taken me a really long time to go do a chapter by chapter analysis, which I usually like to do. And also, like, every chapter is like 3 or 4 pages long, but it's a very high drama. There's lots of twists and turns in the story, and that also makes it like really hard to do a chapter by chapter summary without, it being 7 hours long. So the basic premise of this book is that we have our kind of average teenager. She doesn't seem too average to me, but Avery Kylie Grams, and she's really smart though. Like, she's really driven. So like, she knows she wants to be an actuarial accountant, I believe, is what she wants to do. And we kind of start with her getting a perfect score on this chemistry test that the teacher purposely designed to be impossible. And so they think she cheated, but no, she's actually that smart. And she's kind of stuck in this terrible situation because she's living with like her half-sister, her older half-sister, who's got an abusive boyfriend. And I did not like the storyline with the abusive boyfriend, but it's kind of hard to have a story like that without it being kind of hard to read, because Libby just can't say no to this guy. She's like, you know what, it's okay that he hits me, my mom hit me, and wow, I'm really making this book sound awful. But yeah, that was a storyline I really did not enjoy. But just out of the middle of nowhere, our above average teenager, she inherits like $64 billion. So there's this rich Texan guy, Tobias Hawthorne, super wealthy, like wealthiest man in the world. He dies and he wills everything to her. And she's never met him before. She has no idea who this guy is. And it kind of reminds me of the Westing game, which is one of my most popular reviews here on this channel. I think it's mostly from kids who have to read the book in school, and they didn't really want to read the book, so they just watched my summary of it. There's like 1 million reviews for this book. I checked, so I'm probably not going to get that much attention for this review, but that's okay. Don't know why I'm talking about me. I should be talking more about the book. Knives Out. Everybody mentioned Knives Out. That's what a lot of reviews mentioned. I don't know what Knives Out is. So, Westing game is it for me. Just old person, very rich, leaves a bunch of weird, twisted games behind. That's basically it. So the biggest question is, like, why would he choose Avery to inherit? And there's all sorts of hidden tunnels and puzzles built into the house, which is absolutely gigantic. And like every bookcase has to have like some sort of clue if I pull the books in some sort of order. And there are puzzles like that. So she does solve one of them, which is figuring out the book in a library that has a mismatched cover. And she finds it, and there are words circled in there in that particular book, which give her the clue to find a different version of the will. And when she looks at that with a red paper, she sees 4 names, which happen to be the 4 middle names of the wealthy man's grandson. Does that give you a sense of what sort of the puzzles are? Okay, hopefully it does. Like, lots of puzzles and riddles and searching the house and that sort of thing. One that I thought was really cool is that there's a bowling alley in her house. In this new house, it's got 4 lanes, and when she logs on to the system, it has a special welcome message for her. And she's like, whoa, this must have been programmed before I died, right? Long before I died. And I'm like, ooh, I bet that's a puzzle clue. She probably has to get like a specific score. Like if she gets a turkey, something special pops up on the screen. And that's not the case. It's just a bowling alley thing. But I thought that would have been cool. Would have been cool. Okay. So, every single person got a specific envelope. That's sort of what kicks it off, is everybody gets a personal letter with a private message inside. And that's sort of what kicks it off. Everybody gets, I don't know if they all get different messages. I don't think the book was 100% clear. Here's one of the things, is like, okay, we get to see what person number one's letter was. And then person number two says, oh, my letter was the same way. We all got the exact same letter. But there's so much like suspicion and paranoia in this book with the clues, and everything could be a clue. Like everything could be part of like a puzzle. No, a double puzzle, a triple puzzle. That's the heightened drama which goes throughout the entire book. It's very good. I do like that. But after a while, it is a bit much, especially because it's like a 350-page book. So unless you're reading the book all in one sitting, which I wouldn't blame somebody for doing, it does get a bit much. And so you do have to take a break, and then you come back, it's like, oh great, back to extra drama. I feel like we need to like a release, just like a nice subplot or something to make it less like dramatic and paranoid. And I feel like the author was trying to do that with the best friend character, who Avery like sends text messages and calls a couple of times, and that's the storyline. I mean, the comedic relief best friend character who never actually appears in person. I bet she's gonna appear in one of the later books, though. So yeah, but I'm not sure if they actually did all get the same message or not, or if person number two was lying about having the same message as person number one. I did think that maybe that could have been one of the puzzles, is we have to find all four of the messages, and they're all different, and they all have to go together, which is sort of what had to happen in the Westing game, but really clever people could have figured it out without, I say really clever people. People who are familiar with the lyrics of a particular song could have figured it out on their own. And then that's something else the Westing game does well, is like we get to see everybody's, we get to see all the messages separately. Whereas this book, okay, she's the narrator, right? So we don't really get to have any scenes except for the like last chapter. First time we have a scene which does not have our narrator present. So that's just that's a limitation of having the one narrator. We don't get to see everybody's clues unless the characters share them with her, and she only really sees the one. Okay, I'm making way too big of a deal of that. So let's get into the characters. So there are 4 grandsons who are competing, and they're all... Everybody in this book is a teenager, okay? They're all like higher level end of high school, so all of them can drive. Maybe that's the reason why. So like 18, 17, 16. I guess the other one must be like 20 or something, maybe 24 or something. He's barely in this book. He's like the older one. He's like, you know what? I'm not gonna play this game. I don't care. And he basically makes his graceful exit, and good for him, I guess. Kind of liked him. I thought he was interesting. I kind of like the 2 older brothers, I think. The younger brother also is not in it as much. He's Xander. He's the goofy guy who makes jokes about scones, and I did not think any of his scone jokes were funny. I'm sorry, that did not work for me. But he's also not in it very much, I don't think. And of course, they all have they have a bunch of relatives, and it's like, oh, and then we have like 3 girls at school. Add that to the character count. The sister, and basically they limit the lawyer and the bodyguard. So because Avery inherited, she's got a full-time bodyguard and basically a full-time lawyer, and they're basically guiding her, trying to, protect her as like, here's how we deal with the media. Here's how we do with this. It's like, okay, I've arranged for you to show up at this charity auction. We're gonna go shopping for a dress and have her hair done up and everything like that. kind of reminded me of the Hunger Games, where they have the one character is basically like their personal publicist and stylist. That's sort of what the lawyer does, that sort of role. But she's way more serious and not like a really goofy, silly character who I feel like in the second Hunger Games movie, that must have been like one of the characters. Everybody thought he stole the show, and so they just gave him a lot of time in the second movie because all the fans loved him. Anyway, off topic. So I'm listing the characters, and there's like 10 to 20 characters, at least like 12 or 15, and it's a lot to keep track of. And I thought, well, over the course of the book, it'll be easier to keep track of these guys, because it's really only the 4, and like I said, 2 of them don't show up very much. But no, I was wrong. It's still pretty tough to keep track of all the characters in this book. Like, there's a lot. I could not tell you who the mother is, who with the different... there's 2 other people that live on there, right? And they have 2 nieces, and they're not related to the Hawthornes, or are they? So that's sort of why I give this book a 4 out of 5 instead of a 5 out of 5. Like, I could not keep track of the characters, even after like 300 pages. Like, you ask me, okay, give me lines and say, hey, which character said this line? I would not be able to tell you in the slightest. So the 2 of them that get the most focus are Jameson and Grayson. I think? No, Grayson's the one who's sort of like judgmental and thinks he knows everything and is always dressed up in his suit and doesn't really care. And so I totally had him confused with the much older brother Nash, who is always dressed up in his suit and doesn't really care. And yeah. And the other one is Jameson. And of course, we're told all 4 of the grandsons are super hot. And she sort of falls in love with all of them. And there's sort of like this love triangle. Sort of. There is a big love triangle with Jameson. And I think it's Grayson who's the other guy in the love triangle. Like I said, really hard to remember who is who. And I think Xander was trying to be part of the love triangle, but he's just fine making jokes about scones, so he doesn't have to get too involved. And so, she has plenty of opportunity to get close to the brothers as she tries to help solve the riddles and figure out what's going on. And they do have the series of numbers that they have to find. Basically, see, this is why I think all 4 of them got a separate riddle, because there's like 4 specific numbers that they need to find there. And they figure out, okay, well, the 1's hidden on this one part of the estate, and so on and so forth. I don't want to spoil all the riddles for you. But one thing I didn't like I think about halfway through the book, somebody tries to shoot Avery, and that's... They make a really huge big deal about that too. So that keeps the drama level pretty high. But just dealing with the Hawthornes is high drama, because they're always, like I said, everything could be a clue. Everything could be a double clue, a triple puzzle. So everybody talks like that all the time in mysterious half-truths. And for the most part, I think it's well done. I do think it's well done. I can think of some Nancy Drew games where they tried to do that with every single line of dialogue, and I just like, what? This is weird. I don't think that worked well at all. But it is a little much when that's the entire book, as I said. Now, they do have the best friend character who's sort of a relief from that. Also the sister as well. But not really, because the sister has that really dark storyline about her abusive boyfriend. And guess what? He apparently is the one who took a shot at her, tried to kill Avery because he thought he would inherit, and he was being hired by spoilers, so I won't say. And one thing compounding that, with the talking in half-truths and half-stories and not getting the full picture, that is very much apparent in the storyline about Emily. And, gosh, like, there was this girl named Emily and apparently some really big secret went on with her. Something big and major happened with her. And like in real life, somebody would just sit down and explain the situation to Avery, right? But that's not dramatic. And so all the characters need to like tell half-truths about her. And like I said, every chapter is like 3 or 4 pages long. So nobody has a nice long conversation about anything. Any conversation about Emily gets cut off pretty quickly so we can have a dramatic cliffhanger. She's like, Emily, it's my fault she's dead. Whoa! And I can't talk about her. I'm still not over her. And I feel like that dragged down the love triangles because, like, all these characters, or maybe just 2 of them, because I can't tell them apart, they are all obsessed with Emily and won't stop talking about her and won't stop thinking about her. And then, but talked about the 3 girls at school. I think it's really 2 or 3. Like, one of them was Emily's sister. And then I think the other is Emily's cousin. Oh yeah, and then Nash was dating the lawyer. Throw in another, love triangle thing going on there. Yeah. So, and the one girl is just kind of really mean and seems to want revenge on Emily, but that wants revenge for the Emily stuff, but she's also, being a best friend, and it's just, very complicated, but I just did not like this Emily storyline at all. And when the Emily storyline kept getting brought up, I was like, okay, are we ever going to find out how she died? Okay, I get it. Everybody blames themselves for her death. Okay, how did she die? What happened? And I don't know if this is going into spoiler. Yeah, I don't want to give spoiler territories, but it really does take until the end of the book before they actually explain what happened to Emily. So she had a bad heart, literally she had a heart transplant. And then she died with one of the brothers doing a dangerous rock climbing thing. So this would have been the same night that brother number 2 broke up with her. The numbers, this isn't the numbers that oldest to youngest. This is just random numbers. So she's kind of dating 2 of them at the exact same time. And when the one brother broke up with her, she turns to the other brother and says, let's go do this super dangerous thing. And he's like, oh, well, I don't really want to do it. And then she dies. But guess what? I think brother number 3, or maybe it was number 2, I can't keep track of them. He happened to be there. And so he saw her die from the altitude, and he thought she was just faking for attention, and now he's racked with guilt. And so brother number 1 is racked with guilt because he broke up with her that night, and brother number 2 is racked with guilt because he was the one who took her to the dangerous place to begin with. And you see, all of them are completely obsessed with Emily, and it's yeah, that's good reason. And it would have been nice if the 4th brother at the start of the book had taken Avery aside, or maybe even the lawyer could have done this and explained, okay, Emily used to live on the estate, and she was kind of dating 2 of the brothers at the same, he could have sat her down and explained it to her, instead of stringing it along a lot. I did mention there was a lot of love drama with the characters dating each other and stuff like that, but it's the Emily stuff that really feels like it's the key to it, because it's preventing the brothers from falling in love again and falling in love with Avery, because Avery she kisses the one, she really wants to kiss them all because they're all so handsome, and she's like, no, I don't want to fall in love with them, but they're so handsome and so mysterious, and she's worried they're just using her, that she's just a tool in one of their games, that this is a puzzle their grandfather left behind. And it's sort of indicated like that at the end, where it's all 4 of them need to be present to open a specific door, so they've got door handprints there, and they all take it to mean, oh, Grandpa wanted us all to come together instead of letting Emily's death drive us apart. That's sort of where they go with the end. But then there's another big secret hiding behind the door, leading directly into the sequel. And I didn't like the ending that much because it's sequel bait, and the book is good enough to have a sequel. Apparently it's an entire series. Like I said, there's over 1 million reviews for this book. It's popular, okay? I feel like I'd probably be able to handle it better if it was a miniseries or a TV show, just because I could keep track of the characters more. Because it's really hard to keep track of the love interests. They have similar names, Jason Grayson. Alexander, who goes by Xander. Well, he was easy enough to tell apart. I don't know. Yeah, I do think a TV series probably would have played up more into the story that, you know what, she's a billionaire now, and the press is always after her. We don't really get all that many scenes outside of the mansion. That's one of the stipulations. She has to stay in the mansion for a full year before she can entirely inherit. And so, yeah, we don't get a whole lot of her actually leaving and dealing with normal people. She does leave. She's got a charity that is $100 million a year. It generates $100 million a year. Let me see. So that's the interest that their fund has, and that's the money that they spend the money on charity and probably put some of it back into the fund, so they get even more next year. And like Nash is the one who's basically in charge of charity along with some other relative. And this one scene stuck in my mind where she visits him and they go into actuarial accounting, and he's trying to explain to her, no, it's a bad idea if your charity just gives money to people and helps people. Like if you gave a homeless man specifically there's a homeless man that she's thinking of that has trouble getting food. And it's like if you just gave him a food fund or a clothing fund, that wouldn't be good. That would be awful. What you need to do is funnel your charity money through things like art auctions and stuff like. I'm like, I don't know about that. It's like you want to put your money in the places where it can do the most good. It's like, okay, that makes some sense. What does he say? Intentions don't matter when it comes to morality, is what he says, and I disagree with that. Okay, that kind of leads to people not doing charity work because they actually care about helping people, but they're only doing it to get a tax write-off, which I guess a lot of billionaire charities do. So, completely off topic, sorry. So as I said, the Inheritance game's pretty good. I will give it a 4 out of 5 just because it's hard to keep track of the characters, and I did not like that Emily storyline, which I felt was dragged out unrealistically. You could also say it's probably unrealistic that all 4 brothers are falling in love with our main character, Avery, at the same time. I did like the puzzles and the mysteries and the twists. I thought those are pretty well done, although I do think that, because the book is firing on all cylinders at the whole time, that is a little bit much. I could have used like a subplot or something, more of a relief subplot, just to cool off a little bit instead of just constantly going and going and going and going and going. So those are my thoughts on the Inheritance games. Thanks for watching my overly long unscripted review. Bye.